He cheated with my best friend and bled me dry for years. I stayed quiet. Then, years later, he was on his knees. Please. You have to help me. My new landlord is evicting me. He begged. The shock on his face when I smiled and replied. I know. I signed the papers myself. Hey Reddit. I'm hoping someone out there can help me make sense of this. I need to start from the beginning. Back in 2019. I was 19. And I moved in with my then boyfriend. Looking back, I know it was way too soon. But honestly, it wasn't about the romance. It was a lifeline. My home life was abusive. And his tiny, run-down apartment felt like the only escape hatch I could find. I grabbed it without thinking twice. The reality of that escape set in almost immediately. He didn't have a job. And I was working anywhere from 40 to 65 hours a week at a dead-end retail gig just to keep us afloat. I paid for everything. The rent, the bills, the groceries, all of it. And somehow, he was the one with the shopping list. I remember one time, we were at Target. My work shoes were falling apart, so I found a cheap 20 pair. As I was about to head to the checkout, he came over holding a brand new 60 video game. I can't afford that right now, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I was already doing the mental math, thinking about our electric bill. He just looked at the game, then at my shoes, and then back at me. Well, you're getting something for yourself. It's only fair I get something too. Right. He wasn't aggressive. He didn't have to be. It was the calm, logical way he said it that made me feel insane. My brain went into overdrive. What do I do? If I argue, this will turn into a huge fight that drains me for days. If I just put the shoes back, there's peace. So, I did. I put the shoes back on the shelf. And he got his game. That became the pattern. My needs were always negotiable. His were only fair. This was my life. I was running on a treadmill. Exhausted. Just to maintain a home that felt more like a cage. But I told myself it was better than the one I'd left. At least here. No one was screaming at me. Then, about 6 months in, he delivered the first real blow. We were sitting on the couch, the TV droning on in the background. He turned to me, his expression unreadable, and said, I have to tell you something that happened a while ago. My stomach immediately turned to ice. My first thought was that he was in some kind of trouble, maybe with money. What he said was so much worse. When we first got together, he started, not even looking at me. I slept with Sarah. Sarah. My best friend. My only friend. Really. The two names didn't belong in the same sentence. My brain just short-circuited. I couldn't form a thought. I just stared at the wall, trying to make the words make sense. He and her. It was impossible. Then my mind started replaying the last few months. The inside jokes they had. The way she stopped answering my texts as often. It all clicked into place with a horrifying, sickening snap. He hadn't just cheated. They had both been lying to my face for months. My first raw instinct was to run. Just grab my purse and walk out the door. But then the second thought, cold and heavy, settled in. Run where? Back to the family I ran from. To the streets. I looked around the apartment that I was paying for, filled with furniture I bought, and I realized I was completely and utterly trapped. I had escaped one prison just to build myself a new one. I felt like I had to choose between two hells. At 19. What would you even do in that situation? That was just the beginning. And honestly, it only got worse from there. After he told me about my best friend, I shattered. It wasn't a clean break. It was like dropping a glass on a tile floor. I spent the next year trying to sweep up the pieces of myself. I stopped drawing. I stopped talking to the few other friends I had, because I just couldn't trust anyone anymore. All my energy went into my job and just surviving the day. I became a machine. Work. Pay bills. Sleep. Repeat. Slowly. Painfully. I started to feel not good. But stable. I was building this fragile little ladder for myself. Rung by painful rung. Trying to climb out of the hole head put me in. Then, almost exactly a year later, he kicked the ladder out from under me. We were driving home from the grocery store. It was a normal Tuesday. I remember the street lights were blurring past the window. He was quiet. And then he said it again. That same careful, quiet tone he'd used before. I need to be honest about something else from 2019. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. My brain screamed. No. Not again. I can't do this again. But I just kept driving and listened. He told me about another woman. Someone had met online. He told me had been sending her nudes. He detailed it all with this weird, detached sense of duty, as if he were confessing to a priest instead of the person whose heart he was actively ripping out for the second time. When he finished, he looked at me. Expecting what? Forgiveness. A thank you for his bravery. My first impulse was to scream, to pull the car over and just lose my mind. But then I stopped myself. What's the point? I knew how it would go. If I got angry, he'd say, "See, this is why I can't be honest with you. I'm trying to do the right thing." He would flip it and become the victim. And I would be the ungrateful, hysterical girlfriend who couldn't appreciate his honesty. So I said nothing. We just drove the rest of the way home in a silence that was heavier than any argument could ever be. I unloaded the groceries, put them away, and felt absolutely nothing. And that became our new, twisted tradition. The next year, it was another girl. The year after that, another. Each time, it was a secret from 2019 that he just had to get off his chest. It always happened when I was starting to feel a tiny bit like myself again. When I'd maybe laughed with a coworker or thought about picking up a pencil to draw. It was like he had a sixth sense for it. He'd see a flicker of my old self and his response was to pour a bucket of water on it. He wasn't being honest. He was keeping me sick. He was administering a poison and calling it medicine. With each new truth, the ladder didn't just get kicked out from under me. It felt like he was sawing off the rungs one by one. There was nothing left to climb. How do you ever heal when the person sleeping next to you is the one who keeps reopening the wound? Just to prove they're a good person for telling you how you got it. In the beginning of 2023, after almost 4 years of this, I finally left him. It wasn't a big, dramatic fight. I just packed my things while he was out and I was gone. The first few days, I was running on pure adrenaline. I kept waiting for the wave of relief to hit me. The feeling of freedom I'd been dreaming of for years. But it never came. The silence in my new apartment wasn't peaceful. It was just empty. I had gotten out. But it felt like I'd left the most important parts of myself behind. It's been over a year now. And I'm still a ghost. I look in the mirror and I don't recognize the person staring back. The girl who loved to stay up all night working on a new cosplay. Meticulously cutting fabric and styling wigs. She's gone. The girl who filled sketchbooks with characters and worlds from her imagination. I can't find her. It's been 6 years now that I felt like a hollowed-out version of myself. I've tried to get back to it. I really have. A few months ago, I bought a whole new set of art supplies. Pencils. A beautiful sketchbook. Everything. I sat down at my desk. Opened to the first crisp, white page. And nothing. My mind was completely blank. I held the pencil. But my hand wouldn't move. All I could think about was him asking what the point of it was. Or telling me I was wasting money on a hobby that would never go anywhere. The pencil felt heavy. Like it wasn't mine anymore. I realized in that moment he hadn't just ruined my confidence. He had poisoned the well. Had attached his voice to the things I loved until I couldn't hear my own anymore. I know what everyone is going to say. You need therapy. And you're right. I do. Desperately. But right now, it's just not financially possible for me. I'm still trying to get back on my feet. And every dollar is accounted for. I'm on a waiting list for some low-cost options. But that could take months. Or even longer. So I'm turning to you guys. For anyone who has ever had to rebuild themselves from the ground up. For anyone who has had the joy sucked out of their passions. How did you start? What are the literal baby steps? I want to love myself again. I want to cosplay. I want to draw. I want to do all the things that made me me before he ruined them. How do you reclaim your own mind when someone else has been living in it for so long? Any tips or tricks for learning to move on would mean the world to me. I just want to feel like a real person again.